It's Lit Book Reviews. What's up? I'm Yoshi. With me, as always, is Toad. And this is the podcast where we discuss all things books. It's Lit Book Reviews, otherwise known as It Is Literature. And today we are going to continue our tier list of the books that we have read this year. What has it been, 2 months since we last did this?
Yeah, we did it for the first. We did it for January and February. So now we're updating it. I feel like that makes sense, right? This will be a
Yeah, for sure.
6-part
So
series.
we're gonna update with March and April. But before we get into it, a quick ad read from today's sponsors. Bankruptcy. Are you broke? Are you struggling to pay your bills? Are things going to debt collectors? You should file bankruptcy. You can go to I'm broke and need to file bankruptcy.org/ILBR to get 10% off your bankruptcy. Okay, on to the video, man, to start us off.
It was really cut deep. I could see myself filing for bankruptcy in the next 8 months. So might have to use our own code.
It's really that sponsor's really close to the heart here. It's the
Is.
book reviews. We love filing
It
bankruptcy.
truly
I've done
is.
it like 3 times already, so
It's fun. It is fun. So I saw where you're at 22 books and I'm at 18 so far. How do you feel? So how far are you in front of your goal? I mean, I feel like I'm 5 ahead of my goal right now, which I kind of did that on purpose by kind of putting it a little less than I thought. But I actually have been kind of crushing books this year. Like, I feel good about where I'm at. Do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I feel good about being at 22.
22 is good. Well, and that's not including Yumi.
Yeah, I mean, I'm reading Yumi and the Nightmare Painter right now, so I mean, for sure, getting close to that big 2-3. But I mean, 22 is good, man. We're in 4 months into the year. I definitely want to get a little further ahead of the goal. My goal is 60. I'm 3 books ahead of schedule right now. I'll finish Yumi tonight, so I'm really going to be 4 as of today. 4 ahead.
So on Goodreads at 60? You set it at 60?
That's what that's what it's set at, is 60. Yeah. I'm 3 books ahead of schedule. I'm trying to get back to my 2020 days, bro. I did 67 in 2020 and haven't read that many since.
I put 42 as mine, but doing that to try and get 50. I want to get 50, but
yeah, I put 60.
If I read
trying
20
to get 85.
non-fix though, I'll be. You start counting those comic books, brother, and you'll be there. I swear, some of those people do that. But,
for sure. Yeah. But yeah, no, I feel good about it. I feel good about the spread as far as nonfiction and fiction so far. So we got deep in some nonfiction these past couple months. So yeah, I feel good about it, man. Books like Yumi that are shorter and quick reads will kind of help get ahead, because we have some behemoths to get to this year still. So who knows? We might not end up hitting our goal. We'll see. Yeah, so here's where we're at. SABC, Don't Ever Read. We only have 1 in the Don't Ever Read so far. So we'll see if we can add any more to that.
You remember that whole debacle with the...
Oh, I remember. We're going to keep the grading system as it is from here on out. But okay, well, let's get through these books here. Let's see where they land. We have some reviews on some of these, some we don't. So if just look around the channel and see if there's I guess we'll mention which ones we do and don't have. But let's get into it, man. Start us off with looks like Ring of Steel is up first. That was all you.
Yeah, so this is a book. Yeah, this is a book I read. Ring of Steel, Germany and Austria-Hungary in World War One. Man, this book was so good, dude. I mean, I don't know if it was better. It's so different. I mean, this is where eventually we'll probably, maybe after this one, have to split our nonfiction and fantasy, or not fantasy, but nonfiction and fiction up. Just because it's so tough, I think, to gauge, and compare these. But this was an S tier book for me. I don't know if it beats out Henry V, just because that's more of a general S tier, I think. This is more of like for Andrew. This is an Andrew S tier book. Very in depth, but we've talked about it a little bit, but it's kind of razor focused on just Germany and Austria-Hungary in World War One. So it's, for me, super fascinating to kind of get the so-called bad guys' view on what's going on. But yeah, Ring of Steel, kind of a thick boy, but it's I loved it. So if you're into World War I history and you want to kind of get the other side, because I think just growing up we don't really catch that a lot. It's definitely worth a read.
Nice. Very nice. Good old Ring of Steel. Next up, we have another World War One book. I read this one, A World Undone, The Story of the Great War from 1914 to 1918 by G.J. Meyer. This book was up there for me. I'm gonna have to follow right behind you with another S tier. I don't know, dude. Henry V was so good, but they're so different. You're
It
right,
really
man.
was.
It's so tough comparing these books to each other. So I would put it after Henry V. Wherever up there. Obviously, I didn't read Ring of Steel, so I don't know if it's better than that. But it was an S tier book for me. This one is a more broad book on the Great War. You're going to get all sides of the war, um, and kind of right at the beginning and then through to the very end. And it was just
Yeah.
such an engaging, very informative and detailed, but never felt like you were being bogged down with the details. It was the perfect mix of everything, of detail, of general information to give you everything you need to have a foundational understanding of the course of the entire war. So I would recommend this book to anyone who wants, and it is thick as
Yeah.
well. It's like 700 pages or so. But if you're up for that, I would recommend this to anyone who wants to read about World War One. This is the first book I would recommend to them if they wanted to read a bigger book. There's some shorter ones you
Yeah.
could read before this, but yeah, it's an S tier book, man. Shout out GJ Meyer. Um,
GJ.
Looks like we got another World War One book, specifically the end of World War One, Paris 1919 by Margaret Macmillan. Fan favorite here at the channel as far as that author. We love Margaret. This book follows, as it states, it's about the Paris Peace Conference, which takes place in 1919 after the Great War. It follows the Treaty of Versailles, all the different things that happen with cutting up Europe and separating peoples and all the different things that go on. We both read this. This book was so good, dude, but I feel like
It was good.
is it S tier?
Dude, my initial reaction was I can't tell if it's because I was thinking about this. Is it initially it was like high of A, like first of A, but I
Right,
don't know if that's because I read Ring of Steel and I'm not as my endurance for nonfiction isn't as thick because I remember I read the first 150 pages really fast, and I think it was the Balkans maybe slowed me down a little bit, but then towards the end I sped up again. I remember getting
right,
really interested again in the Middle East, and then kind of Japan and China kind of
right.
got me back into it in the Ottoman Empire. But
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I feel like it. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I agree with A tier. I think it has the
It's
potential to be an
definitely A
S
tier.
tier. Um,
Like I agree.
for what it is, dude, I don't see how there's a better book you could read if you want to know
Yes,
about the Paris Peace Conference. So
I
it's like
agree
in that regard, it's an S tier. But
for
in
sure.
the for the sake of I don't know what the right word
The
would be.
topic.
But like not everything can be S tier, you know?
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, dude,
in this
we're
book, if
so
we're gonna
bad.
try to really look at it objectively, this
Yeah.
book may not be interesting to most people. It's written by a woman, so that's a
Yeah.
knock on it, obviously. Just kidding. But she's a great author. um,
Love you,
so dude,
Margaret.
if I would be fine with putting it if we're gonna put A tier and not S tier, I think it's gotta be number one in A tier
I
as it
agree.
stands right
I
now.
like that, and we can
All right, I think
readjust
that's
as we
fair.
look later on.
Yeah, that's probably the
Because I do
sexism coming
agree.
out in us, but it is an amazing book.
It was very good. Like you said, I can't agree more with I think it's more the topic itself can kinda
Right.
get bogged down for sure, but, I mean, she makes it
Yeah.
as interesting as you could do that. So
Yeah, and I feel
important
like the
too.
way we read it was so perfect because we
Yeah.
both read a World War One focus book and then separately 2 different books, and then we both at the same time read the same book about the post World War One era or those 6 months where
Yeah.
they did all the stuff they did. So it was kind of perfect for us. So yeah, I feel like top A tier is fair. Also recommend
Yeah.
by Margaret Macmillan, The War That Ended Peace, which is the lead up to World War One. So if you really want a good World War One sandwich, you should read The War That Ended Peace by Margaret Macmillan, A World Undone by G.J. Meyer. I can't speak to Ring of Steel, but throw that in there too if you want, and then end it with Paris 1919. I mean, that's
Did you
like
like
you kind of
A
get
War on
everything.
or not A War Undone, did you like, The War That Ended Peace more than Paris 1919?
Dude, that's a really good question, and I might. Like that.
The content maybe is a little bit more engaging, or
Yeah, and it was so fascinating the way she just painted a picture and made it so obvious that this world was going to go to war one way or another if people didn't stop doing the things they were doing. So it's so well done. So yeah, I mean, probably it might edge out Paris 1919 a little bit, but like you said, it might also be because it was just a little more engaging because Paris 1919 is all diplomacy for the most part. There's a little bit
yeah,
of conflict here and there, but it's all diplomacy and deep politic type stuff. So yeah,
I
great
agree.
book, Paris 1919, A tier. This next one's you, brother.
Yeah, so this is caught in the Revolution, Petrograd, 1917.
Mm,
I actually just finished this book today as well. I kind of slowed down a little bit because I was trying to catch up with you in the Eye of the World, but this book was really good. Obviously, it's very hyper focused. It was definitely better than Germany 1923. I can't speak to Marshall Folly because you read that book, but for me, this would be like at the height of B tier. It almost
dude,
would
throw it in
sneak
the
into
top.
A. I want to try and not just throw everything in A and S, but like I really did like this book.
Yeah.
Bro, it's just
Yeah, that's what I was
crazy what
saying.
happened
Top
in
B tier. Yeah, I
Russia.
feel like that's. Yeah, I remember you
Yeah,
telling me about it. It sounded like you were horrified by what you were reading.
well, it's just crazy that how the Russian Revolution even happens because it's really not led by anyone. I just kind of forgot that. I guess I kind of knew that because I read that Lenin biography a couple years back, but Lenin kind of seizes the moment after one
Mm,
revolution's already happened. So there's a February revolution, and then there's an October revolution in the same year. Um,
mm,
and that that October revolution is really what daggers the country, because that's when the Bolsheviks come in.
that
But dude, it's
cursed
just
dagger.
wild. So, but this is by Helen Rappaport, which I think you read.
Oh, yeah,
She
I've read
writes
one
on
of
the
her books.
Romanovs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I read
So
The Race to Save the Romanovs several years ago, but yeah, she's great.
yeah. So and it
I
was
think
very
she's considered like the sorry to keep interrupting you, but I think
yeah,
she's
yeah.
considered the premier Romanov
Yeah.
historian because she's written so many books about it.
Yeah, that seems to be her niche for sure. And it was slightly different in a sense of she kind of followed some more niche people. And so you're kind of getting a different look at what's going on, but a lot of primary sources where she's quoting, doing diary entries. So, I mean, you're really getting a very real feel of what people were really saying and thinking like then. And I like that
Mhm.
kind of stuff because it kind of puts you in the head. It's not like, oh, well, this is what they were thinking. But it's like, no, here's a direct quote of some diary entry of some baker talking about how we have no
Right.
bread or whatever, you know. So
Mm.
it's, but it was
Having no
good.
bread,
So,
dude, what a unrelatable thing. Like, that's just
dude,
horrifying. Like, we have no
some of the
bread.
stuff they did, the Russians are savages, bro. Like, I
Yeah.
will stand by a statement that, dude, Russia, while like I would love to go see St. Petersburg, which is Petrograd now, like that's the name of it now. It's just,
Mm.
bro, some of the people in their population take some liberties, and it sounds like they're still taking liberties to this day. But
It sounds like they're
anyway,
taking liberty from people is what it sounds like.
it is. But I would recommend this book because it was like 280 pages. It was a very short book. I got this one at McKay's, the used bookstore in
Oh, yeah.
Nashville. So it was
Shout
a
out.
quick, nice read.
Nice. Very good. Good God Almighty. You ever seen that Rick and Morty episode where that guy is talking to Rick and Morty, and Rick is like, "That's what you do," because the guy was talking with like it sounded like phlegm in his throat.
Yeah.
That's what I needed. That's what I just did. So, all right, cool. Well,
All
up
right.
next, kind of staying on the World War One era train. That was a nice little swap you did there. I like that.
Yeah, because I read
American,
this while you read that. It makes sense.
yeah, American Midnight by Adam Hochschild, I think is how you say that name. So this book, written first of all by Adam Hochschild, who wrote King Leopold's Ghost, which is
Naples
a great
Ghost.
book on the Congo and
I
Leopold of
can't wait.
Belgium. Yeah, great book. So this guy wrote that, and he wrote American Midnight. American Midnight is specifically about America, the home front between 1917 and 1921. 1917 is when America entered the First World War. And he kind of gives you a little backstory before that, but then the war ends in 1919, so he also goes a little past the war. And this book, I'll go ahead and say this book is a I'm gonna go B tier, and I think it goes above March of Folly, but I'd be fine keeping it behind Caught in the Revolution. Just based on your explanation, really good book, but and this is no fault of the writing. This guy is a great writer, but
Yeah.
man, this book is tough, man. It is. I mean, I'm just gonna tell you guys right now, and I'm not
We got you
swinging one
pro
way or the
America
other
in
on
you.
this,
Yeah.
but if America has broken her promises many times to her
No!
people. I mean,
Oh,
during
dude.
World War One, we're talking about journalists being put in prison for years for being anti-war. There was one dude who said, "I wish Wilson would go to hell," referring to Woodrow Wilson, the president at the time, and he was
Shut
put in prison for it. And the judge said that this was like an actual statement. I'm slightly paraphrasing, but I remember it really well, so it's pretty accurate. The judge in the case about this guy said, "A person cannot be in a state that is considered quote unquote hell without being deceased. Therefore, this is a threat to murder the president." And so put some random citizen in prison for saying something. And that's something that's pretty relative to a lot of what's going on in the world today, whether it's America or other places in the world, regardless of where you line up or what you believe. It is a very harrowing book. And it kind of just goes to show that when a country like ours is at war, it is very easy for democracy and free speech and things like that to start slipping through the cracks, based on what side you line up on. And that's something you see throughout history, but it just really, and I've known it before with things I've read through history, but I've never seen a clearer picture of that in America. There
Yeah.
are different things you can look at that, whether you look at Jefferson, Jackson, even Lincoln, where there are things that where they bent the Constitution. But Woodrow Wilson, I'm just going to say this right now, worst
Yeah.
president we've ever had. Man, that's too far because there's some that are worse. Bottom three presidents,
Yeah.
just an
He gets
absolute dog
exposed
shit
in Paris
president.
1919 as well.
Yeah, so and just because he knew about a lot of this stuff, he was getting updates about things, very rarely showed any concern at people's rights being absolutely stamped upon Americans. Um, so yeah, this book was harrowing. It is yeah, man, it was dark, dude. I had to cleanse. I think did we go straight into I can't remember what I went to after this, but I had to cleanse the palate after this one because it was heavy. And it was
Yeah.
3 World War One books in a row for me. Um, but yeah, American Midnight, if you wanna be
You wanna hate
a little
America?
disillusioned about America and democracy and all that kinda stuff, go ahead and read American Midnight by Adam Hochschild.
Dude, but thank God we're gonna make America great again.
Are we?
So, we're fine. We're good.
Are we though?
Um, to move on to a time period that I promise you is worse than whatever was described in American Midnight.
For sure.
The Templars by our boy Danny Jones.
The second
This was a
Dan
good
Jones book
book.
of the year.
Yeah, and I read this one over a span of probably 6 weeks. It was
Mm,
really good at first, and then I can't remember. I think I was trying to catch up with you on. I want to say maybe the first law. So this Jesse brought it before.
you
This
kinda got
is
thrown to
it's
the
not
back burner.
cheating. Yeah, because I started this definitely in the first 2 months of the year, and then I finished it in March. So
Yeah, and then
it
right
snuck
when we
into
got on
finishing in
here,
March.
right when I logged into StreamYard, you hit me with, "Oh, dude, by the way, I've read more books than you in the last 2 months." And I was like, "Alright, dude, alright."
Well, I mean,
I mean, you
it's I
have.
just wanted to make sure we
You
knew.
gotta take your
But
wins.
this was a really good book. It's very hyper specific. The Templars, I mean, it was a very interesting topic, and he does a very good job of covering it, especially in his narration style of covering history. It was definitely a little harder to do comparing it to Henry V, which we both consider one of the best books we've read all year,
Mhm.
and would recommend to anyone. Henry V's biography, so it's easier to have that narration style, where the Templars, I mean, it's covering
Mm.
roughly 300 years, and so there's a ton of people that are getting plugged and played.
Mm.
So there's not a ton of time to really follow a lot of people's stories, and especially because the Templars, man, they were just, I mean, they were savages in a sense. Like one of their rules was once they go into battle, they can't retreat, like no matter what. So like they're completely surrounded, and it's like we're not retreating. So I mean, obviously that
They're
leads to
looking like
some
Jon Snow
bold
standing in front of all
calls.
those horses.
Yeah, I mean, it's some seriously bold calls. It's like, "Hey, let's just back up, retreat, regroup, and then let's come up with a better idea." And it's like, "No, like we fight for God. He's on our side." And it's
We're
like,
ready
"All
to
right,
die.
man." So there were a ton of switching up with guys having to come in and out. Who knows? One day I'll maybe actually film that video I've like scripted 3 months ago. But this book was good. It was just, I think, with how I was reading other stuff and trying to finish it, it did take me a little bit, but it's not that big of a book. I want to say it was like 300 pages, and it was just crazy, especially if you're just looking to kind of. I didn't really know much about the Templars. Obviously, they rise and then fall like very quickly, but definitely
Mhm.
super interesting group. That, like, I mean, this is, you can tell like this has inspired so many like fantasy elements, because it's things that's like,
Mm.
wait, that was
Yeah.
real, like people actually did that. Because I mean, this was a group of guys, it was a military group, sponsored by the Catholic Church, that kind of had free reign over all territory, because all of the countries in Europe were Christian. And so it's just very interesting. They ended up kind of being the first bankers to like international bankers. There's a lot of really interesting things in this, but it
Hmm.
wasn't. I think I went into it thinking, because I might have read this right after Henry V,
You went
thinking it'd
straight
be
into
more of
it,
a
yeah.
narration style, and it was different. It was just a differently laid out book.
Yeah.
But anyway, still good. I would definitely put it still lower B tier, but I don't think that's Dan Jones' fault. It's more just the content of him trying to cram like 300
Right.
years of information and still keep it interesting. So, but anyway,
Yeah. No, that's
the
fair.
Templars.
Nice. Next up, we got Incomparable Grace, JFK and the Presidency by Mark K. Updegrove, I think is how you say that. So this is what it says it is. I'm gonna go probably right above March of Folly, actually, behind American Midnight. It's a B tier book. It was really good. It's very, very general and broad, just kind of giving you the highlights of JFK during the presidency, as well as some personal details to show both his strengths and flaws, of which both of which he had many. Um, Really good read. I would say this is the perfect book if you don't really know anything about JFK and you want to get into learning about his presidency specifically and a little bit about the man. I would say
Yeah.
Incomparable Grace is a good book.
How long is it again?
It is not long. It's under 300 pages if I remember
Okay.
correctly.
Yeah.
So good book, but if you already have read a lot of this era in JFK, this isn't the book for you because it's just going to give you a very broad overview of things you already know about. So, yeah, good book though. Middle B tier is where it belongs.
Dude, I'm
And
curious to see
next
what we
up,
do.
I am too, man. This is going to be interesting. We have another presidential biography specifically about the presidency, American Lion by John Meacham, Andrew Jackson, in the presidency. This is by one of my favorite historians. He's a presidential historian. He's written several great books. And of all the books I've read, this one actually is probably my least favorite, even though I still really enjoyed it. It is a Pulitzer Prize winner, which I, the more times I see that on a book, the less I'm convinced that it means anything. Not to take
Did The
away from
Swerve
this
win the
book,
Pulitzer
but it's
Prize?
just did. I don't know if that's a Pulitzer or something else.
I don't have enough
Oh yeah, yeah,
HD
it is.
quality.
It is, and that book was not that good. Yeah. So again, not sure what the Pulitzer even means anymore, but American Lion, Andrew Jackson, fascinating figure. This was specifically about his presidency, so you're not really getting a lot of the things he's known for, like you know his conflicts with Native Americans, as well as the War of 1812, New Orleans, all that good stuff. So, I
Dude,
mean, dude, Margaret Eaton, you know,
Margaret
she
Eaton
ate this
weighs.
book up.
It weighs on this. I'm gonna be honest. For me, I like Caught in the Revolution more. Like, I think now that I'm a little bit removed from it, I still think the writing's great. Like, it's tough because
Yeah,
the writing was really good, but the content, man, was not what it did not hit what I wanted. It gave me really good, like, I know so much more about Andrew Jackson. So I mean, he didn't lie. I'm glad I got the information because I wanted to
right.
know. But I think what
It
I
was just a
thought I
lot
was going to
of
get, it
this.
wasn't what it was. But that's more
I
on me. It was
agree
my misconception on who I thought Andrew Jackson was while he was president. I thought a lot of the things that like I know about him were kind of closer to that
to the
time.
presidency. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's also just not to, I mean, it's history, so it's not really a spoiler, but not to get into the details of the book. But there's just one aspect of Jackson's life that is repeatedly gone back to, that even though it's very clear that it's important to his life and his presidency, as a reader, you get to a point where you're like, yeah, dude, I got this. Like, I understand what's going on. I really don't need any more information on that, on the petticoat affair, essentially. Um, so, dude, I would put it right in front of the JFK bio if we're going mid B tier, and I think that's a good spot for it. Do you think it's
I
better
agree.
than Germany 1923 as far as ones that
No,
you've
it's
read?
not. That'd be messed up to say. Yeah, I like where
You're
it's at too.
it's Oh, okay. I thought you were saying the opposite.
It's
Okay,
no, I'm saying
cool.
it's definitely not. Yeah, no, it's not.
Okay, cool. All right, good. Then yeah, that's American Lion. This one's you, this next one. I know nothing
Yeah, so
about
I
this
actually
book. I know you
just
made, is this what you read with Riley?
yeah, I just finished it today. Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte
Dude, if you have to,
McConaughey.
you can just throw this in the S tier, like if you need to,
This book was not an
for
S tier
Riley's
book.
sake.
I will say I did not agree. I don't know if you got to see my review yet, but this is
Mm-mm.
definitely too, just for clarification. This was something that I was just looking to read with my girlfriend to try and I don't mind branching out too. This was something that I saw that was really popular on Goodreads right now, and then the blurb sounded
Oh,
interesting.
she gave it 2 stars.
She gave it 2 stars, dude. So I just got her on Goodreads too, so that's been an accomplishment. She just really didn't like the ending,
Mm,
but I did. I thought this was a good book. Like, this is definitely a B tier book. Like, I don't feel like I wasted
wow.
my time. It only took me 2 days to read. Um, and even though this isn't necessarily my thing, essentially what it is, the context is like this family lives on this remote island close to Antarctica that's being used for scientists and those kind of things, but it's very isolated. And essentially, this lady washes up on shore because her, I mean, it's very, it's like it's the island shrinking slowly because of all these storms that keep coming in, and so it's not a very safe place to live. So it's very harsh weather, and so her boat is coming in, and she's trying to find her husband, who's supposed to be working on the island as a scientist. And she washes, like, the boat crashes. She washes up on shore, and it's kind of her trying to figure out because her husband's not there, and so she's trying to figure out what happened by talking with this family. And so I mean, it was very interesting. I thought it was very well written. The ending I didn't hate, but I also didn't love, whereas Riley hated it. Um,
That's so
the
funny.
ending was definitely a twist I didn't see coming. But anyway, I didn't mind that I read it. I mean, it was, I don't even know if this book was 300 pages, so quick. I mean,
Yeah.
it kind of gave me a feel for what else is out there, in a sense of maybe what's more popular that maybe isn't what we like want to just sit down and only read that. Um, but for the most part, it was good. I mean, there's a little romance in it, but it wasn't too much to where it took away. But the setting itself was what sold this book for me. And I think that's
Yeah.
also what probably took away for Riley, is like, it was definitely kind of, it's going into the biome of this island and talking about the plants that are surviving under harsh conditions, and
Mm,
the animals, and
that's
it's going
interesting.
scientifically into that. That's like a part of the setting, is these kids are
Yeah.
very in tune with where they live, and that's like a huge thing. But anyway, it was good. I mean, a quick read, I
Yeah. Just in case,
in and out.
I'll read your last little sentence because I think it's great for, if you're might be curiously interested in this book. Andrew on Goodreads, in part of his review, said, if you are wanting to read a sad story with some slight emotional payoff that also teaches you about niche plants and animals, this one is for you. I mean, that's great. I mean, I feel like someone could read that sentence and know for sure whether or not they're interested in this book. I feel like that's
Yeah.
pretty solid.
It's,
Um,
yeah. It's a good book though.
cool. Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey.
I
All
think
right, all right, all
that's
right.
what I said too, but I don't know. Yeah.
All right, up next
Cool.
we got Hyperion by Dan Simmons. This one's gonna be
Mm.
interesting, I think. We have a video on this one. I've actually missed several that we've covered on other videos, but whatever. Hyperion, though, we do have a review, so we encourage you to go watch that if you've read this book or if you haven't and don't care about spoilers. But I want you to say first
Mm.
where this one belongs, because I know it's lower
So
than me.
what's really throwing this whole thing off, bro, is Sirens of Titan for me was a C tier book, and so that's where it's like it's better
Mm,
than Sirens of Titan for me. But I don't know for you. I think you're gonna say it's not, because I remember. I mean, you just, that book really hit for you.
yeah, it
This
did.
book, dude, the ending was so bad. I'm sorry. Like, I just, The ending was so bad,
Well,
nothing
dude, there
happens.
just
There's
wasn't
2
an
stories
ending.
that are really good. Yeah, I guess that's true. It's just I'm trying to justify. I guess it's not the ending. I mean, the ending is bad, but it's more the first. I mean, how
Yeah,
much we percentage? The first
the first half of the book.
65% maybe.
I wouldn't say
And it's like I
65
keep
because
trying to
chapter 4
justify
is
it.
where it really turns around, 4 out of 6.
Yeah,
So
but
I
that's
feel
on
like the
page.
first half.
That's what's brutal too about this book. The way he wrote this, it really felt like he
I
was
mean,
just
yeah,
trying to prove a point. Like it felt like he did this on purpose because someone told him maybe he couldn't. And it's like,
yeah,
because I think it's 6 chapters, and it's like this wasn't a short book. I mean, it wasn't super long, but anyway, for me, if I'm going off solely for me, this book
yeah,
was a high C tier book. And it's more to just to give context. I think if I had zero expectations going into this book, it'd probably be a mid B tier book. But because I was so excited to read this book, and especially we've talked about it at length in our
yeah,
video, bro, this cover, especially this, I put this exact cover too for a reason,
yeah, yeah,
bro.
yeah.
This with this
I mean, you're
as the
right.
cover, I was so mad, but
You're not wrong,
I
dude. I mean, for me personally, I mean, you're right. I do feel like it's more of a just because, yeah, I feel like it's a low B for me, but I would not be mad if we put it in the number 1 C spot. Because at the end of the day, man, the complaints we have about this book, I think, are valid. The chapter length is
oh dude,
ridiculous. I don't
crazy,
care. I
crazy,
don't care about
crazy.
anything. I don't care
You
what you
saying
have to
that just
say.
I was gonna compromise and put it into B, but after that, I just really sparked a
No, I mean,
fire in
that's
me
I
again.
think C is fine. The thing is it has to me, there are
It
A
has
tier elements. There's
potential.
not S tier elements. There are
Oh,
A tier elements in this book,
I agree.
especially the
There's
scholar chapter.
3 chapters. There's 2 to 3 chapters that are A tier for sure. Yeah, I
And the
agree.
scholar one actually might be S tier, dude. I mean, that brought tears to
The
my
Saw
eyes.
one
That
was
was an
really good.
amazing
That one
story.
and I don't
But
know
honestly,
too if it
dude,
was so
one of
good
them in
because of how
particular is
bad.
don't ever read.
Yeah.
Like,
The
like
Poets was so
it's
bad, dude.
tough. The Poets is so
Was
bad,
it the
man. So yeah,
Poets and then the Scholars? Was that how it worked out too?
I think so. I think it's the
I
very
can't
worst one and
remember.
then the very best one. It might have
I
been
wonder if he did that.
actually it might have been the soldier and then the scholar. I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't
But
remember either. I will say I
yeah,
do
it
wanna
wasn't
to
what I
clarify,
expected.
I do wanna finish this series. Like, I do wanna at least read the next
For
book
sure.
because we have had people comment and say the next book is infinitely better. I know you've looked at it and it's like
Yeah.
50 or 40, like, it's like a normal chapter amount, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
so I this will be a series that I am continuing, like, 100%. It's not like,
For sure.
Shorefall or whatever that one book is where it's like, dude, if I
Mm.
never finish that series, I won't care. Whereas the first book was
Yeah.
good. This one I actually do really want to read. So that is the
Yeah, me
dichotomy of
too.
this is Dan Simmons is a good writer. It's just again, if you're more interested in it, I mean, I could rant on this book for forever because there's so much there that could be so good. That's what
Right.
makes this book so frustrating for me is because it's so close and
Yeah.
then it
It
just
just didn't
betrays.
quite get there. Again, it had
I
its
feel
moments,
betrayed.
but yeah, and it's really tough when the first half of the book, like, honestly kinda sucks, and then
Oh,
the
dude,
second
it's so
half is pretty good and actually really good at one moment in particular. So, yeah,
and
it's
then it hits.
tough. It's just tough, man. I mean, the consoles chapter was amazing too, bro. That was really
It
good
was
to
good
me.
too. I
Um,
agree.
and so was the detective. I think Lamia, Brahm Lamia. I thought hers was good as
Yeah.
well. But anyway,
Hers was
we have
good
a whole
too.
video about that if you want to know our Hyperion thoughts. For me, I did give this book, I think, 4 stars. So for me, it would be a mid B, but because of our complaints that we agree on, I think high C is fair.
I like that.
Um,
And I gave you Kurt
you
Vonnegut,
gave
so
me
you can
Sirens of
get mad
Titan,
as
so I'm trying not to push back on this one.
yeah. Alright,
All right,
this
up.
one is
That's you, brother.
definitely a C tier book. This book, Buffalo Hunter x Hunter, was I don't know what was more disappointing, Hyperion or Buffalo Hunter x Hunter. Hyperion's a way better book, so it's like a different kinda disappointment. This book I was just very excited for, and there were still elements that were good, but I cannot forgive what Stephen Graham Jones decides to do at the very end of this book.
Mm,
The setting and the historical context of this series is worth reading. Like I still think this book should never go here. It's worth reading, and I think most people will find it interesting. It's just if you have other stuff you want to read, definitely read that. But if you have this one, you could read it very quickly. And it is interesting, especially 90% of the book. It's just the ending of this book is atrocious. It's one of the worst endings I've
Mm,
ever read in a book ever. Like, I would rather have a
mm,
Hyperion ending where it's like, okay, I'm just left on a huge cliffhanger where nothing happens, but I know the
right.
ending is coming in the next book. This one, you get a hard stop ending, and it's so bad. Um,
Yeah.
but the setting though of we do have a review
Yeah, we have
video
a
on
video
this
on
one
it.
too. So you can check that out if you're interested. But essentially, it's I want to say like 1920s. It goes back and forth, but it's like historical 1920s in I want to say Utah, Native Americans. Um, anyway, that's kind of the context. So if you're interested in anything like that, I'm losing fire,
Nice.
bro. This book just pissed me off. The ending of it.
I mean, some of them be like
And if
that.
you want to know the ending, just go ahead and go to our video and just skip to spoilers because it's if you're never going to read this book because you should if you haven't read this book and you don't want to read it, please go watch our video to the end and just hear what happens. It's insane. So
Check it out. Check it out
check
on the
it out.
channel.
This one's you.
Next up, we've got Dan Abnett's Horus Rising, the first book of the Horus Heresy series. This is in the world of Warhammer. The Warhammer books. There's like 1,000 of these books. I read the first one of the Horus Heresy. I think there's 54 in this run specifically, but then there's other books that are not included in this run, I believe. Either way, this was recommended by a friend that I work with. He really liked it. We have a video on this. I'd been inspired to read it because of him saying that, and then I watched that secret level episode on Prime that was really
That's
good.
cool.
This was a good book. It was a fun book. It felt like what Star Wars books should have been, if you know. And I haven't read all Star Wars books, and some of them are better than this. But the majority of Star Wars books I've read are like really not that great. They're not good literature, really. A lot of them, but this felt like a better version of that because it is sci-fi. It's way in the future. It's 40 Warhammer 40,000 or 30. What is it? 30? I can't even remember now.
40,000. 40K.
40K. That's right. I would put this B tier. I would put it above the Swerve, but not above the March of Folly. So somewhere around Germany,
Okay.
1923, I think is fair. It's a good book. But what's funny is, so I read this book and then convinced my coworker to read Red Rising, and he tore through the first 3 books like a madman within like a week. He's paused on Iron Gold, which just because he kind of, I think, burned himself out a little bit, but he loves the series. So
Iron Gold can do that to you as well if you don't give
yeah, Iron
yourself
Gold
time.
was yeah. It's Iron Gold's great. He
It's the
hasn't got to the
weakest
ending
other
yet,
than Red
man.
Rising. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
the
it's
ending
my
is
second
crazy.
least favorite, but the ending's so good. Anyway, Red Rising, we love that here at the channel. Next one is you.
This is the biggest surprise so far. So, Glorious Exploits by Ferdia Lennon. This book was
Mm.
really good. I hope at some point this year I can get you to quickly because you would read this in a day. This book was
Yeah,
maybe
I need to read
300
it.
pages, a little over 300. It should be so up
I'm
your
just gonna
alley with
order
how
it
much
right
you
now.
know. And it looks cool. Like I don't want to hype this book up too much because it's not. This to me is an A tier book, but mainly because of the historical context and because it's so weird. Like it's one of those things where it's the topic is something that I normally would not care about, but essentially it's set in ancient Greece during the Peloponnesian Wars. I want to say
Mm.
I can't remember the island that it's on now. The Athenians, though, are there on this island where the 2 main characters are, as they'd gone to fight. I want to say Crete, maybe. Anyway, and they would lost a war, and so now the soldiers, like the leftover soldiers, are there, like as slaves. And essentially, this dude and his friend, who are like shoemakers or whatever, decide that they're gonna do a play with these Athenian slaves, and it's about that. And so it's like normally I'm not like a huge play guy, but
Right.
it was just really good, and it's very funny because a lot of the dialogue is kind of the setting. Obviously, is historical Greece or historical, yeah, Greece, and then one of the characters is just bro, he's a problem, but like the funniest
Mm.
problem. But dude, this book kind of just snuck up and really got me, especially emotionally. There's some stuff that happens, and I'm like, oh gosh, like just out of nowhere, because especially one of the characters is very joking, and those are the ones that'll get you, man. It's kind of like a not to jump ahead, but like a Matt character where it's like someone that you don't take seriously that much, but then all of a sudden that character does get serious, and you're like, oh,
Mm,
it just kind of hits different because it
yeah.
is more relatable in a way. But it was just a very I went in with no expectations, and it was just a very enjoyable book. It was very well written, and it was so unique too. So this is fiction, um, but I think I might want to try out some more historical fiction. I think that could really be the next bag for us.
Mm,
It was just I don't know. You're kind of piecing together things that we've already learned about, but then at the same time, it's a narrative style.
right.
A lot of things that I like about the idea of historical fiction, like after reading this, and it was just something too that was a little bit different. And I think I read this
Right.
after. I think I was a little bit into Paris 1919. I was like, I just need a little bit of some fiction to help me
Yeah.
get
Just had
through
to
this.
cleanse the palate a little bit.
Yeah, and I think I read this in 2 days as well.
Yeah, you read
So
it quick.
quick
Yeah.
read. But yeah, if you're looking for some like weekend read that's totally different, if you're not a historical fiction person, this one was good. It was just a solid book all around.
Nice. All right, last on the list, we just finished this one, The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan, Wheel of Time. Its Lit Book Reviews has officially broken into
Oh
that
yeah.
legendary series that we all have at least heard about. So yeah, Eye of the World, we've got a video either out or about to come out, depending on which videos come out first. But we did just talk about this one, so we'll have an episode on that. Dude, I'm gonna be honest. For me, it's B tier. For me,
Do
I
you
don't know about you,
I think
but
it's higher B,
I think it's higher B,
right?
bro. But I don't think it's better than American Midnight for me. Is it better than Caught in the Revolution for you?
Dude, this is where it's so
It's so
tough
hard.
because
It's not straight up
I
history and
normally
epic
I would be
fantasy
like,
are so
yeah,
hard to compare.
100%, but it's like because what I think Jordan does is more impressive. Or is it? I don't know. I mean, I couldn't do either, like, as far as a historical
Right.
account of
Yeah.
Petrograd 1917, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like the fact that this has, you know, 500,000 reviews or ratings or whatever it is, it's like, surely this means it's I don't maybe that's not a bad way to say that too, I don't know. I think it might be, but again, it's just tough because I am more of a fiction guy, even though I love history still too. It's tough too because I've read the first 6 books, so I'm trying to just rate it for what this book is, and I'm
Yeah.
fine with it. Yeah, I mean, I think the enjoyment level is just different because fiction,
Yeah, it's
I
totally different.
especially since I rereading this, rereading this would be like the highest B for me. Whereas the
Yeah.
first time I read it, I would probably have it. Honestly, it's better than Germany 1923, but dude, American Lion was tough with Margaret Eaton. Mm,
Yeah, I think it's better than American Lion. I just think American Midnight just held me like it engaged me way
yeah,
more than this one did. And we still thought it was a really good book. Check out our review if you're interested, and we're definitely going to continue. It's by no means something that I didn't enjoy. Like I'm very into this series and ready to actually get into the thick of it with more of the books as we continue. But it just for me was a bit slow in the beginning, first couple hundred pages. And then as you'll see if you watch our review, there were some things I didn't love, but I'm in. I'm in on the wheel of time. I'm ready to go. So I think where it's at's fine. I wouldn't be pissed if it was the top of B, but I'm fine with where it's at.
same, same.
Are we
Dude,
locking
we've
this
gotten a
in?
nice little chunk. Yeah. Is there
Yeah,
anything you
we're
think you
looking
would
good.
change?
No, I'm happy with where it is. It's tough because we have a few things that kind of make this list are just kind of weird to work with. One, we're talking absolute nonfiction, straight up history, and then epic fantasy and kind of
Yeah.
everything in between. But then on top of that, we also have like we've read a lot of books together, but we've also read some books not together. So it's just kind of a
Yeah.
funny list because some of these dude, I have no way of knowing how to compare Eye of the World to Caught in the Revolution. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of funny. But we are very similar in what we like and dislike, so I feel like it's still
Yeah.
kinda like it wouldn't look much
I
different
agree.
if we had both read all these
Yeah.
books, except for something like
And
The
maybe
Sirens of Titan.
yeah. I think maybe next video we'll have enough to where we can probably do a non-fic. Like we can redo
Yeah,
this. Not redo it, but you know what I mean. Take where these are now and then just kind of
yeah,
split that into 2 videos. Cause I mean, bro, if we're pacing the way we are, I mean, we'd have a tier list video with like arguably 100 books on it. Because I mean, if you read
Yeah.
60 books and I somehow read 50, maybe we only read. I mean, surely we read 25 to 30 together, but so maybe not completely 100, but it'd still be like a good 60 to 70 books probably on here. That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to read at least 60, so, I mean, that's 60 plus at the very least because we've already read books not together, and there will be more of those, so, yeah, dude, we're gonna be I feel like we're gonna easily be around 80 between us, if not more.
Oh yeah, of like
Easy.
individual books. Yeah.
Yeah, just yeah. So yeah,
So
that's this is our tier list through April 2025. We will continue. Let us know what you think, or don't. We don't care. But that's how we rate the books so far this year. Anything else, brother? Any announcements for the
now,
class?
what's your expectations um this next month? Are you thinking it's gonna be more fantasy, more non-fic? What's the vibes right now? Like where you're at right now?
I mean,
What's the
gonna
thought
finish Yumi
process?
and the Nightmare Painter tonight, so that's two fantasy in a row. I'm probably gonna go into the Great Hunt right after that, so that'll be three fantasy in a row, and then I'm probably gonna lock down on a handful of non-fic. So which I kinda like. A lot of times in the past, I've done non-fic, fic, back to back to back, just going
Yeah,
back and forth, but I kinda like breaking it up into 3 or 4 book spurts where you're kinda especially the way we just did it, where we read several books about the same era, you just get so
yeah,
much more out of it because stuff starts
I
getting
agree.
reinforced in your mind, and so, dude, I feel like I learned more about World War One reading I mean, this is an obvious statement. I learned so much more out of each of those books because I read each of those books in succession than I have really out of any nonfiction, save a few books that I just loved because I read them back to back. And so everything was just being
Yeah,
reinforced. Like by the time I got to American Midnight, I mean, dude, everything he referenced, I knew exactly what he was talking about because I had just read about the war and the post-war era. So yeah, probably a couple more, maybe one or two more fantasy, and then on to a handful of non-fic. So just gonna keep riding that wave. What about you?
I think yeah, I'll be excited to read The Great Hunt, and then I might be ready to rip like another thick boy because The Ring of Steel was a nice getting a chunky guy out. Because dude, I don't have a ton of smaller books now. Like after reading Caught in the
Yeah,
Revolution, not at least kind of staying in the same era. I might read the Weimar Years by Frank McDonough, and then I might rip into little Heil Hitler biography. Dude, those
I
are
get to
just
say it
waiting.
like
They're
that.
waiting, man. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have. Guys, if you know me, you know me, you know. But if you don't, it is what it is.
You're lost.
So
All right.
lost,
Well,
yeah.
that's it is literature. This is our tier list so far through 2025 as of April. Don't forget, I'm broke and need to file bankruptcy.org/ILBR, and you'll get 10% off your bankruptcy filing. And we will see you on the next one.
Bye, guys, and potentially girls.